Am I the a-hole for not giving my ex-girlfriend money I promised her? I had been dating Sam, female 31, for 2 years, and she had a problem with her car. I was getting money as a bonus, and I told her that she should get her car fixed, and I would gift her the money to pay off her credit card instead of giving her a Christmas or birthday gift this year. She got her car fixed, but then broke up with me about a month ago. Don't know why and don't really care. I thought we were doing well, but I guess not. She contacted me to see if I had gotten the money and when I would be sending it. I told her I had no plans on sending her money, and she said I was an a-hole for letting her put herself in debt if I had no plans to actually live up to my promise. I think that the situation has changed. I was planning on giving her the money, and she would have been screwed without a car. She needs it for work and to drive her kid around. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Actions have consequences. Breaking up means not getting the partner treatment anymore. The money was clearly meant to be contingent on being your partner. Not partner anymore, no money. I would say that you would be crazy to still give her the money. Not the a-hole. Absolutely do not give this person money. Block and move on, and don't allow yourself to get manipulated or persuaded. Not the a-hole. It's perfectly normal to lend money to a significant other. Once that relationship ends, you no longer owe them anything. She is gaslighting you, so you will give her money. She's an adult. Figure it out. Paying credit cards and for your car to be fixed is what adults do. This doesn't feel like a loan here. It was the promise of a gift. So yeah, not the a-hole. If it was a loan, I would feel different. Like, what if she paid up front to fix his car with the expectation that he would pay her back, not as any gift stipulation? She knew she was going to dump you and still accepted a gift. If you were doing something inappropriate and got caught, then yes, you should. But no, don't help her. If she just dumped you out of the blue, she either had it planned out for a while or has been going behind your back with someone new. Block her and everything. If you get bothered by her friends, say she took the offer when she was seeing someone behind my back or had it planned before she took the offer. Lord, I wish I had the confidence and audacity of this woman. What is she going to do? Withhold intimacy or break up with you if you don't pay? My God, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for throwing my brother an end of alimony party? My older brother and his ex had a rocky marriage before they finally divorced. To be honest, there were enough faults in both of their parts, so no one can claim the high ground. But because his income was several times of hers, the court awarded her alimony. Thankfully, they were married for less than 10 years, so he only had to pay her alimony for half of the years they were married. His last payment to her will happen this month, so the guys and I are planning an end of alimony party for him. We're planning a week-long stay in Vegas at the Wynn, and we'll chip in to fully cover his end. Because we're planning to go at the end of the month, and there are about a dozen guys going, we've been texting and talking to coordinate the trip. When the trip was first planned, I told my girlfriend, and she wasn't happy about it. She wasn't mad that we're having a guys trip, because we've taken separate vacations before without any issues. She wasn't happy with the theme, and said that it was in bad taste. I disagree, and we had discussions about it until we agreed to disagree. On Friday, she was using my phone to watch her shows, and one of the guys sent a picture he designed for a shirt we're planning to have made for him to wear. The gist of the design is that he's free of alimony payments and can afford to eat again with some graphics. It was in a group text, and the other guys texted their robust approval. This sent my girlfriend into a rage I've never seen before. We got into a huge argument that lasted all weekend. We even had to cancel dinner plans we had with some friends. I thought our argument was coming to an end, but this morning while we were getting ready for work, she gave me the silent treatment and completely ignored my questions. Basically, she wants me to cancel the trip and admit that we're being terrible people for celebrating something so painful. I don't want to cancel the trip, and my brother is excitedly looking forward to the end of his payments, so I don't see any pain. I honestly don't know why she's so mad, because none of this have anything to do with her. She doesn't even know the ex, since they divorced before we even met. Not the a-hole, but I hope you remember to sign a prenup before you marry this one, and don't let her be a stay-at-home anything. Don't rely on her birth control. If a guy doesn't want children, there are birth control methods that a man can use. If she gets pregnant and he didn't use them, it's on him. Female birth control is only 90 to 94% reliable at the best of times. Never ever rely on someone else to prevent children you don't want. Not the a-hole, but this is showing some pretty big red flags. Sounds like she's upset that you wouldn't be open to paying her when you guys get divorced. She can't claim girl code because this happened before she was even around and it has nothing to do with her. Enjoy your trip and reconsider your relationship. Not the a-hole. The last months of the marriage were painful. The divorce was painful. Having to pay money every month to someone who hurt you and who you'd rather just forget entirely was painful. This is not painful. This is him finally being free from that part of his past, which will allow him to fully heal and move on. The only person this might be painful for is his ex, who has benefited from that money and has continued paying for the last 5 years. I could maybe see where she's coming from if the party theme was being rid/free of ex as a person. Like good riddance to Mandy, or whatever her name is, because that would be a personal attack. But just being free of having to shell out money every month? There is nothing wrong with that at all. The fact that your girlfriend thinks it's bad says a lot about her character and intent, and what it says isn't good. Red flag alert. Do not marry this woman, OP. From a woman. Next story. Am I the a-hole for denying my son's father phone calls after 8 years of no contact? Okay, backstory. I got pregnant at 17 and my son's father was out from the jump. He was not interested in being involved in our son's life at all. When my son was 3, I started dating my now husband. My son calls him dad but knows he's not his real dad. When my son was 5, I got served papers from my dad taking me to court for visitation. During court, the judge charged him with 1 count of child abandonment, but did approve of visits, starting in a therapist's office doing what's called reunification therapy. After 2 months of that, they got to have 4-hour weekly visits in the county I live in. The father lives 3 hours away. Anyway, after 4 visits expanded over 3 months, the dad called me and said he was moving across the country. He stated that he is never coming back to my state, but wanted to keep in touch. I would send a few pictures and updates, but eventually stopped after he wouldn't respond. One day I got a text from him telling me I should just have my husband adopt my son so he wouldn't have to pay child support. It's been 8 years since he's moved across the country, but he has never asked about our son until 2 days ago. He texted me and asked when would it be a good time to talk to our son. I texted back and said that he would need to petition the courts for a new parenting plan if he's really serious about it, and he said I'm being difficult. Our son is 13 years old now. That would be extremely awkward to start phone calls after this many years, and especially since his dad ditched him after 6 months of meeting him the first time. Am I the a-hole for saying no? Edit with more info. No, my husband didn't adopt my son. Mostly because he is already his dad in every single way. And since sperm donor moved so far away, I figured why not collect the a-hole tax, child support. Yes, sperm donor pays monthly support. He and his new wife have actually reached out multiple times with the let your husband adopt him comment, but then claim that I am the one that's only about money. I do think that this could be linked to the new wife's pressures. She lost her 25-year-old brother to COVID last year, so maybe she's realizing how important family is. Another thing, my son has IDD, so he doesn't act as a normal 13-year-old. Probably more like a 10-year-old. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. To your son, he is essentially a stranger. Your husband is his father. Husband is his real dad. The other man is just biological. Please find a therapist that specializes in your situation. Your son deserves a plan that makes him a priority. OP has done well thus far, but she needs unbiased help. All this back and forth when it suits him won't be good for your kid, and I'd be explaining this to a judge. Not the a-hole. You're protecting your child. Be extremely vigilant and paranoid about why your ex suddenly wants to talk. He may just want to manipulate your son. Probably needs a kidney. Also common when there is a new girlfriend in the mix, and he doesn't want to look like the deadbeat dad he is. Not the a-hole. This is so similar to the one earlier this week. For some reason, the absent parent needs to show or have a contact with a child. I'd say no and be suspicious. Sometimes people just don't care about or have the patience for small children, but think they can jump right in when the hardest work has been done and the child is old enough to be interesting to them. Or he has a new girlfriend who has been questioning his lack of involvement and he wants to look good to her. Either way, he's a waste of space. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband my life plans after he passes does not include any reliance on his children? My husband, 62 male, has 2 children from his previous marriage that I, 48 female, met in their early adolescence. Both children have good relationship with their parents, with the typical rockiness that comes with the teen years. Both are in their 20s now, working on their degrees, and overall doing well. My relationship with both of them have been cordial and emotionally disconnected, in large part because I never felt like I was allowed to be a stepmother. I was expected by both parents to be their friend. As an adult in her 30s, I was simply not comfortable being friends with two children under the age of 13. I tried to be as open to talking with them, showing them affection, taking them places, doing interesting things with them, and trying to engage with them on their level. But my hands were always tied whenever their behavior needed correction, and more than once led to getting steamrolled for enforcing rules that I personally live by, like telling his daughter to not hit her brother. I often felt like I was a stranger in my own house when things got out of control. Nevertheless, I got through it, and they're adults now, and for the most part, all is well. But while my husband has children, I wasn't able to have kids, despite desperately wanting to have one. Those facts means that my reality requires me to be as prepared as I can, because I will be alone if he dies before me. While explaining this to him, in the broader context of why I was investing the way I have been, he got his feelings hurt, thinking that I should assume his kids will take care of me. They already have a mother they may have to take care of, and I would hope that if I need help taking care of my husband, that they would help as well. But I have no illusions that such a sense of offspring duty or obligation would be extended to me. But he thinks that I'm insulting his children as being unfeeling or callous. To be perfectly fair, if they didn't lift a finger for me, I really wouldn't attribute it to being unfeeling or callous, only that they genuinely have no real obligation to take care of me. What's worse is he wants to talk to his kids about this and put them into that ugly position of insisting that they would take care of me to make him happy, or being honest and say they wouldn't and deal with him being disappointed. He's irritated and hurt, and I feel like I'm an a-hole for trying to make sure I am not screwed if I'm unlucky enough to hit 80 and be all alone. Not the a-hole. It's wise to plan for your future, ignoring your relationship or lack thereof for these kids. They aren't responsible for caring for parents in their old age. Point out to your husband that if at any point he needs help, they don't have to, morally or legally. You are responsible. I'm not sure why he got upset. He decided the parameters of your relationship with his stepkids. Explain this and that you don't want it raised with his kids because he ensured they weren't yours. Thank you. I think his sense of hurt is because he thinks I have a low opinion of his children, that I don't see his children as particularly generous of wallet or spirit. I really don't think less of them. Perhaps he's upset because it indicates that I never thought more of them. While I agree that children really have no legal obligation, we may quibble over the moral element mostly because I reject rule-by-thumb morality. At the end of the day, in my case, I really don't think they have a moral or legal obligation to take care of me at all. And he's interpreting this has me thinking poorly of them. Him not listening to you or just misinterpreting your response? You probably need to clarify this before it festers. Would reading your post upset him? It's very lucid, concise, and has no bitterness or malice. That's very kind of you. I may share it with him. Sometimes reading things are taken differently than hearing it. Why does it bother him that you are investing in being financially wise? Aside from his choosing to be offended by your not assuming his kids will take care of you, why is your fiscal responsibility even questioned? Any chance he would prefer you spend the money you invest? He could assure you that he will take care of you with his investments and insurance if it predeceases you. So why isn't he reassuring you by telling you that in detail? Guessing he will leave everything to his kids, and you assuming he will do that and that his kids won't help you is embarrassing to him, because he knows it is valid. If he dies before you, what financial measures are in place to care for you? Worst case scenario for OP is that husband talks to his kids, and they tell him whatever he wants to hear, even though it's not true, so he leaves all his assets to his kids. He thinks they'll take care of OP. They don't. She's up a creek. She needs to insist on some insurance policies where she's the beneficiary at minimum. His social security? What about their home? Will she inherit his half? Is she even on a deed? I really appreciate the concern here. In a way, I hear my late father's voice as these are the kind of ideas he would bring up. The house is in my name alone. I bought it before we married. I've been aggressively saving my own retirement accounts, and I'm okay given my current age and my own planned retirement. I'm sole beneficiary with his life insurance policy. I know his retirement funds are split 3 beneficiaries, me and the kids. He is the kind of man who would want to make sure that all of us have something to help with the expense of his passing, and that the kids have a little buffer in life.
Am I the a-hole for not having my father walk me down the aisle? Plus update. Original post. For context, I am 26 female and my father has never been in the picture. He left the same day I was born, leaving my mother to take care of me. I'm an only child and don't have any family beyond my mother, as they disowned her when she fell pregnant with me when she was 17. She has been the best mom and rocked throughout my whole life, and I'm very thankful to her for that. Now back to the point. Me and my fiancé have been doing wedding planning for a couple of weeks now, deciding on color themes and venues. A week ago, the topic of how the ceremony will be taking place came up, and I told him that my mother will be walking me down the aisle as I have no father figure in my life. Seeing my fiancé is a very traditional man, he sees the idea of my mother walking me down the aisle as not what should happen. He was upset at me saying this, and told me I should reconnect with my father so he can give me away, an expression I hate. I told him there is no way I'm reconnecting with someone who never tried to be in my life and ran away from his responsibilities, leaving my mom to raise me. When I said this, it turned into a massive argument and resulted in him storming out and staying at his sister's house. That same day, I received countless calls and messages telling me I'm a horrible person and need to suck it up for one day to be the woman I am and should be. I haven't responded to any of these, and I'm just taking some time to myself before I try talking to him. Yesterday, I found out my fiancé reached out to my father and asked him to meet him in a few days. I am beyond mad and rethinking this whole marriage thing. I have no clue how he found my father, but right now I am with my mom and she's telling me I was in the right, and he's being a baby reacting like he did. But in my mind, I'm still having thoughts if I'm the a-hole for not wanting to be traditional. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Ooh, ick. Yuck. You would be the a-hole if you marry this guy in his terrible family. Otherwise, not the a-hole. Run. Don't walk. Run. Seriously, this is horrible. Hope you love yourself enough to get away from someone so toxic and uncaring about you. Yep, if he's upset about OP daring to go against a traditional view here, just wait until they're married and OP cannot have autonomy or power, and ends up the maid that must serve as her husband. Yes, and serve as his family and walk 3 steps behind him. What a toxic culture and family from which he was raised. He's the kind of guy who will likely lay hands on her if he hasn't already. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé sounds like a groomzilla and his family is horrible. You sure you want to marry into this circus? Your mom walking you down the aisle sounds absolutely gorgeous. Neither your fiancé nor his family seems to respect or take you seriously. That would be a deal breaker for me, to be honest. A groomzilla, yes. And also a huge POS for going behind his fiancé's back to contact the father when she has made it clear she wants nothing to do with him. I can't imagine. OP should run and never look back. Not the a-hole. This is the dude you plan to spend your life with. Him and his surrounding cast. Say it out loud to yourself. This other prick is who you are signing up to spend the rest of your life with, and therefore his surrounding cast as well. Say it louder. Are you really going to spend your life with this man? Were you my daughter? You'd be getting some message from me too. Pleading you use your head, not your heart. I thought this as well. If someone treated my daughter this way, I would be helping her pack and move away from him. Would cancel the wedding and instead invite her best friends to go on holiday to celebrate her freedom. Edit. I was just reading through some of the comments and you are all so kind. I will update you soon, lovelies. I'm still trying to process all of this. Now for the update. Hello everyone. I posted 8 hours ago, and since then, I have had time to think about what I really want. I've come to the decision with help from all of you and a person who messaged me, you know who you are, that I will not be going forward with this marriage and will be cutting contact from my ex-fiancé and his family. I've no clue what he will do when he meets up with my father, but I will be having no part of it. I will be keeping this post up so anyone in a similar situation can read the comments, but I will no longer be posting on here and will be keeping my breakup private. I am so grateful for all of you and the support, apart from a select few. I hope all of you have a lovely day. Edit. I will be getting a lawyer just in case, and will be taking precautions to keep safe. I am so relieved to read this update. Please research your options regarding restraining orders, and at the very least, line up a lawyer to prepare a cease and desist letter. Hopefully I'm being unduly cynical, but your soon-to-be ex shows signs of being pretty abusive. Also, do a pregnancy test and do not agree to anything sexual. It definitely fits the criteria for someone who could try to baby trap you. Be careful, OP. If your ex is the kind of man we all think he is, he may react violently to you breaking up with him. Your safety is the most important thing. Don't hesitate to protect yourself. Absolutely this. Be careful and protect yourself. Maybe best if OP is conveniently and constantly near friends or family for a little while, just while that lawyer from the edit is doing whatever it is they're doing. Yesterday I found out my fiancé reached out to my father and asked him to meet him in a few days. Absolutely fascinated by the mental image of them meeting for brunch to discuss a now non-existent wedding. I'm hoping not, but expect that the ex-fiancé may not take the breakup seriously and will meet with a sperm donor to prep for when she gets over her silly ideas. The whole situation is messy, but OP is strong in handling the situation, and props for her on standing her ground and making the right decision. Fathers like OP's dad are useless, and I will never understand their reasoning and logic, but glad OP's mother is on her side. However, OP should be careful now, because with what the ex had pulled and all, ex could do something drastic. Her ex is all about control and thinking he knows better than her. No way is he going to just accept that it's over. He's going to try and strong-arm her into marriage whether she likes it or not. I'm betting it will take a restraining order to keep him away. And even then, it may not be enough. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother if he's going to be late, don't show up? Plus update. Original post. I, 31 female, and my husband, 29 male, got married a week ago. Yay! I spent 2 years planning my wedding, and everything was great. Except for my 36 male brother's tardiness with every event he came to. For context, my brother and I don't get along. Never have. I only invited him for my parents' sake. Also, I was adopted, so he's not biologically related to me. He is always late, and in the past we've had to tell him an event was 2 hours earlier than it really was, so he would be on time. He was late to my high school and college graduation, and missed my walk both times. When I was sending invitations, I put an extra note in his that read as follows. I know Mom, Dad, and I would love for you to attend, but if you're going to be late, don't bother showing up. Your girlfriend and her daughter are welcome to attend with or without you. He called me for the first time in years and cussed me out for the note. I held my ground and said I would still appreciate him coming to the wedding, but I will not allow to interrupt the ceremony by being late. I then called my parents and yelled at them as well. They said it was my wedding and they stood by my decision. He came to the wedding, but he walked in as I was walking down the aisle and walked past me to his seat. I was horrified and embarrassed and mad. I didn't know exactly what I was feeling in the moment, but it was a mixture of things. After the ceremony, my dad and my biological father, who I've become close with over the years since I met him, both spoke to my brother about how that was inappropriate and rude. My brother didn't care and asked where the bar was, but he was forced to leave. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Why do you continue to allow him to be a part of your life when he's clearly not interested? I get some people are always late to things in life, but showing up late to your wedding, let alone while you were walking down the aisle, was intentional. Sometimes family doesn't deserve to be family. It's one of the many reasons we don't get along. He blames me ruining a single kid fantasy because our parents chose to adopt me. My dad is an attorney and heard about my situation when I was 6 and adopted me. He said I ruined his life. Girl, kick him to the curb. He's not worth a life full of drama he will constantly cause. Do your parents know he has said stuff like this to you? No, I never told them. I don't want to feel like they have to choose between their kids. My brother to remind that he is their son. I'm not their daughter, just some kid they took pity on. But I never saw it that way. Not the a-hole. People who are always late are narcissistic a-holes. They do not care about your time. They only care about themselves. In my opinion, you never should have invited him, knowing what he is like. I only invited him because my parents said the photos with the whole family would be nice. And did you get the photos, or was he kicked out before they happened? He was kicked out before photos were taken. And the photographer stopped taking photos when he walked in, so the shots weren't ruined. He made the effort to be late and walk past the bride during the processional. It's perfectly reasonable to be angry. OP, I know it's too late for you, but I would advise anyone else in your position to have people who can bar entrance, at least until key moments, like the processional, are finished. Just to be clear, he was thrown out before he could raid the open bar? Lol. He was pulled away from the bar as he was ordering a drink. Now for the update. As a lot of people in the comments on the original post said, I told my parents everything. How my brother has told me that I ruined a single child fantasy, how my parents pitied me and that's why they adopted me, how I'll never be a member of the family, etc. I also told them that if I host any events at my home/ranch, and I will be hosting Christmas this year since I have the space for the whole family, biological and adopted, my brother will not be invited. I do not want him in my life anymore. The event at my wedding was the final straw. I will be civil if we see each other at family functions that I'm not hosting, but I will not be in contact with him anymore, unless there is an emergency with our parents. My parents support and understand my position. I told them that this is not me making them choose between us, and this is just me drawing a line in the sand and setting a boundary. I love my parents. They saved me from a horrible situation and gave me the best life I could have hoped for. If not for them, I wouldn't have my beautiful daughter, wouldn't have met my husband, or have my amazing ranch. My ranch hands, Lloyd in particular, said that if my brother ever attempted to come onto the ranch without my knowledge, they would boot him fast. Of course, his girlfriend and daughter are welcome anytime. I want to thank everyone for the support and kind comments and helping me see that he does not treat me like family, and I should stop trying to extend the olive branch since it keeps burning it. He literally walked past the bride on her way up the aisle? That's a special kind of self-centered and selfish. That was 100% intentional. He meant it as a straight-up middle finger. Definitely, especially as his family were seated on time. I assume they arrived together and then he ran an errand or some such nonsense. Being an adopted child can be challenging, especially if the parents already had one child. Sometimes we'll get along and some don't. With what has happened, it's clear that Opie and a brother have no chances to fix the relationship between each other. And at this point, going low contact is the better choice for Opie. It's good that Opie has made boundaries settled with, and the parents are respectful of Opie's decisions. Opie said she only invited a brother because of her parents. I kinda wish Opie had security, or the ranch hands acting as security, to not let latecomers in. Given what she already knew of her brother, she should have realized that telling him to be on time or don't come at all was begging him to pull his stunt like he did. She definitely should have had somebody at the door to keep him out. Honestly, I don't think her actions did or could have changed his behavior. He would have pulled this even if she hadn't said anything and just invited him, even if she'd just invited his wife and daughter, even if she'd told them all to stay home, and try to keep him from finding out where and when the wedding even was. Weird upside here is that now no one will question Opie's boundaries, because they've seen how far the brother will go, and people did deal with it swiftly in the moment. Last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting my future sister-in-law pay for a replacement wedding dress after she modernized the first one? I, 24 female, am engaged to my fiancé Adrian, 25 male. I just managed to lock out and purchase a vintage wedding dress for about $1,200 from a lovely older woman who was selling it on eBay. I have a future sister-in-law, Selena, 22 female, who I let store the dress in her own home, while Adrian and I deep cleaned our closet so it didn't get damaged and wasn't hanging around for anyone besides immediate family or close friends to see. Yesterday, Adrian and I went to go pick up the dress since we were done cleaning out our closet. I was so excited to have it back and was planning on showing it to my mother. To my shock and horror, Selena had, in her own words, modernized the dress while it was at her place. She had gutted it. It was now essentially a mini dress with barely any resemblance to what it was previously. I freaked out at her, saying she had no right to do that to my wedding dress and that she had ruined it. Selena complained, saying that it was a surprise and supposed to be a pre-wedding/engagement gift. Selena tried to get Adrian to defend her, but he sided with me and said she completely and utterly overstepped, which surprised me because he's pretty protective of her. We left without the dress and Selena muttering about how she did me a favor. It was later that night when I got the idea to make her pay for another wedding dress. There was another dress that I had been eyeing that cost a bit less, but I chose the other dress over it. I talked about it with my fiancé and he agreed that Selena should pay for the dress since she ruined the first one. I sent the link to the dress to Selena over text and I asked her to pay for it. Selena texted back saying that she wouldn't pay for the replacement dress and that I should be fine with wearing the first one or paying for the replacement dress myself. We argued over text for a while before Selena just stopped responding and left me on read. This morning I checked my phone and saw a voicemail from my future mother-in-law saying that Selena shouldn't have to pay for the replacement and that alterations she made were a sweet gift. I asked Adrian about it and he said that I should stick to my plans of making Selena pay for it. But now that my future mother-in-law is involved, I'm reconsidering it. Am I the a-hole? What the heck? Who alters someone's wedding dress without being asked to? She should definitely pay for a new dress. If future mother-in-law thinks it was a good idea, she should buy you a new dress. Seamstresses and tailors who alter wedding dress will have multiple phone calls, measurements, sketches, just to make sure it's correct. And they know what they're doing. It's their job. You don't ever mess with a wedding dress. Small claims, no wedding invite for the future sister-in-law. If mother-in-law doesn't like though, you could just not invite her to for less drama. I agree. This is a situation where your new family's showing their butts, and it's your job to show you aren't gonna wipe them. Take her to small claims that don't give in. Personally, this is one of those cases I would actually have turned on my TV to watch on Judge Judy. Could you imagine the snark? Why is he making you talk to her? Make him get the money from her. This isn't a battle you can win though. With future mother-in-law backing her up, she will never pay up, and you will be the ungrateful witch wanting money. Make your fiancé get your dress.